Welcome to the Made Fit Show. Now, today we have an extraordinary guest. Her name is Shamina Taylor, and Shamina is a former attorney turned wealth conscious mentor. She's dedicated to empowering high achieving women to unlock the financial potential that they could have. She's not only an award winning entrepreneur and the author of the Amazon #1 bestseller, Unlocking the Quantum Woman, she's also a dynamic keynote speaker and the podcast host of Unapologetically Rich. I love that name. With her practical insights and transformative strategies, Shamina has inspired countless women to break through the limiting beliefs and embrace their true wealth potential. Get ready to dive into the world of wealth consciousness, emotional mastery, and creating generational wealth as we explore Shamina's incredible journey and expertise. Shamina, it is so nice to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. This is so great. As we always do, anybody that has a podcast or is on a podcast, you always talk to your guest, or the host and guest talk a little bit. And I was telling her how so Lauren and I had a CPA on not too long ago, and I interviewed my own husband because he's clever with real estate. And so this kind of just falls in alignment with it. A lot of people are like, but this is a health podcast. But Shamina's been in the world of health. She understands that as well. And I think part of being healthy is being comfortable with your finances by all means. And I know you're going to talk, kind of talk about the correlation with all of that. But I would love to, if you wouldn't mind starting just going from how did this all come about, from, attorney to, just being such a powerhouse and helping women unapologetically, seek, not only comfort in their financial space, but to go for the big goals.
Well, I will keep this story short, but it is something that I think a lot of your listeners are going to be able to identify with. There was a moment, and actually every time this year I get reminded about it because it was that 2013 January, and I just finished bodybuilding competition a couple months prior. My girlfriend had joined me. The news wanted to do a story on her because she had lost so much weight. And when you're bodybuilding, you go down to your leanest that you possibly could be. And she was a yoga instructor. And so she's like, do you want to be on TV? I'm like, yes, I do. And so I had done yoga about 3 times at this point. And we get to the yoga studio, and it was, I guess, January 9th, 2013. We walk in, and, it's steamy and whatnot. And she had my mat set up, and I went and put my phone down beside the mat because that's what you don't do, but I did in yoga. I went up to the cameraman and I said, hey, don't pan on me too much because I don't know yoga, but really what I wanted to tell him was like, look how cute I look at my Lululemon, and make sure you give me airtime. So
Yes.
we started doing the yoga. She's doing what yogis do, and they start talking. And I'll never forget this moment. She's like, okay, and another dog down, another dog down. And I literally, at this point, I was getting so annoyed with her. I was like, we did 150 dog downs. I'm like, this is not P90 like yoga, right? Like, just calm down at this point. I just dated myself there, by the way. And then she said, do this, do this. And I looked down at the phone. I'm like, oh my gosh, we've only been in this 15 minutes. I've got 45 more minutes of this. How am I going to last? This class was full. So then she said, okay. I felt relief. She's like, okay, now go down. I was like, okay, finally we could get to the mat, but put one leg one way, put another leg the other way. And being a bodybuilder, my legs did not do the things that she said, and my lats didn't cooperate. But I am an overachiever, and I'm highly competitive. And that day I was going to win yoga no matter what. So I get into the position. I grab this little quirky box, and the one they give you in there to hold on for help. And she's talking. She's like, are you happy? Are you living the life of your dreams? And as she's talking, I'm pressing myself into this position and barely holding it together. And my hips start shaking. My whole body starts shaking. And then what happens was she's like, are you happy? And I said, I don't, what? No, I'm not happy. And then this physical pain came over me. I couldn't push through anymore. It's like this physical pain turned into emotional pain, and I just started crying and crying. And I don't remember the last time I cried. It had been so long, but I was crying and crying and crying. And I felt this relief come over me, like I left my body in that moment. And I stayed in this pose for the rest of the class. And as she's talking, and I realized I'd lost who Shamina was. I had all the things they told you were supposed to have: the career, the husband. We went to the Caribbean in the winter. We went to Europe in the summer. I had all the material things. We both had businesses, and yet on this yoga mat, I was just letting go, and just I felt this finally. I lost who I was. I was just someone's mom, and that's kind of thing what I was in. My identity had been gone, and I lifted my head up, and after that moment, I realized that, wait a minute, something has to change. I can't unsee this.
Mm.
What's going to happen? And then my girlfriends came over to me. They're both yogis there. One was teaching, and it was one studio who owned it. And they're like, "Are you going to get divorced?" I was like, wait, hold on. We're just not even talking about that yet. But I got up and I knew I my life was not what I had created. It was way something different. I was pretending in that moment. I went home, and a couple days later I talked to my ex-husband, and we decided we were both really unhappy. And did you hear that? I had said ex-husband. We ended up getting separated and divorced. Um, and it wasn't that, you know, the marriage ended. It was that I was in a marriage that I was not able to thrive in because I was not emotionally mastered. So this took me on a journey for 3.5 years where I was celibate, and
Okay.
I was going on a deep dive spiritual journey, figuring out, why did I stay in a marriage that was not where I was happy anymore? And how did I get so unhappy to be in this place where he was chewing carrots were irritating me, and everything he did, it was like I just wanted my own time. And so the spiritual teachers started coming to me, different things. I started working on my attachment issues. I started working on my worthiness. And I realized that I had some trauma from when I was, not some, but a lot. When I was 16, I was through a traumatic event, where I found out my father was cheating on my mother. And then the day that I did tell him about it, I believe at that time he tried to kill me. It was really, really traumatic. And as a 16-year-old, I have a 17-year-old right now. I can't imagine, my face was destroyed, my body had broken bones. It was horrific. And I had no healing, nobody to take care of me. And that's something I just stuffed away inside of me. And when you have unhealed trauma inside of you, it manifests in your body. And so
Amen.
a lot of our sickness has actually come from the root of the unresolved, untransmuted energy. And what I did to try and sustain it was to work out or to do whatever it could to keep my body and my mind healthy. But I went into
Mhm.
something called survival mode. And then that literally is why I'm so successful. It's literally what has paved the path for the things, but not in a healthy way. So I realized as I was going through my work and my studies that I had been a woman who was deeply in her masculine, because I became my own protector because I didn't have a safe masculine energy around me. And as I started going through the consciousness of healing through my body, I started to see that, wait a minute, I could apply this to money, because a lot of our survival instincts come from whether or not we have enough money, whether we're protected, safe. And my nervous system was so dysregulated that my sense of safety wasn't really there. I was always trying to gather it. And I know after mentoring thousands of women, we all experience this. And so we're always trying to be control freaks and micromanage and don't do this to me. Don't talk to me this way. Like I was that woman. I was always on the brim of like a massive explosion, because it was either anger or complete sadness. It was no other emotions were being tapped
Yeah.
into. So it led me on my journey of understanding why our emotions are literally the secret to our health, wealth, and whatever it else is out there. And when we aren't masters of it,
Yeah.
we are in suffering and survival mode.
Yeah, I have so many things to say about that. Having, trauma as a child too, and it wasn't until I got into counseling and actually tried an old mentor of mine recommended I want to say RNF because my husband just had that done to his back, MDR,
Oh
there
yeah.
to kind of tap into I had lost my father at a very young age, and because I was only 5, I didn't think it was, it bothered me, to this day as much as it did until we tapped into that part, and that was such an important part of my life to get past that. And then, my cohort, my partner, Dr. Lauren. has always, because she is such a powerful woman, so smart, has always struggled with that masculine energy and has been working so hard because she wants to find her perfect partner and knows that she has to find that feminine energy because she's just so self-sufficient, so independent. So I understand that part of it as well so much. And I appreciate that you talk about it's really understanding yourself, who you are, where you want to be, what roadblocks that you have. Even this morning when I was on the treadmill and I was talking to my accountability group, I told them, because they were about 2 weeks in, and I said, how you feeling? And I said, if at this point right now you're thinking, oh, I might need a different workout program, or I might need a different meal plan. This isn't working for me. It's when you really got to tap in here. And it's the person that you are, the things that you're telling yourself, the things that you're doing, the things you're not doing. That's keeping you from where you want to be, and not necessarily that the actual meal plan, the actual workout. So I assume that also plays a role in finances, that maybe you have a mentor or you're reading a book or you're trying to do a certain way to save money or make money. And so you instantly think it's this process isn't working, so I need to try a different process, when a lot of it probably has to do with your own beliefs with money, and all that stuff. And I would love for you, because this is a big one I hear all the time. Like I told you, in mentoring women myself, they almost feel a sense of shame, in wanting to create wealth or wanting to earn an income. Uh, can you share a little bit on how you help women through that roadblock of, I'm not, maybe because of past trauma, or I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, no, there's actually a really clear, if I had a diagram in front of me, I would draw it out for you. But going back to the masculine, when a woman's masculine, it's not because she's the man and she's
Yeah.
like a go-getter. It's because her trauma is leading that masculinity, and she's decided she never had a safe masculine in her life to tell her that it was okay to be in her feminine, because we need the polarity of it. I
Mhm.
believe money is masculine and the way that we receive it is feminine, especially for high achieving, high performing women, like being
Mhm.
lawyers, doctors, engineers, women who are in that have to be in that thinking, in their logical brain, that are, but doctors are also heart centered as well. But they don't get a chance to lead with that. And so a lot of women who go pursue careers, that part of their success and then driven is the unworthiness. I believe we have three core wounds: unworthiness, betrayal, and abandonment. And when I can look in someone's business and in their relationships, and I can see which one of their core wounds leads, if you have it's never about money, by the way. It's like, it's when people say money comes in, it goes out. I'm like, oh, you don't feel safe holding it. Oh, or I see somebody undercharging and they're still exchanging time for money. I'm like, oh, you don't feel worthy of having more. And then, or you feel like, guilt, shame when you spend your money. Oh, you have a betrayal wound. I could look in and see specifically what's happening. And I know no one's teaching like this, because I had to figure out my stuff. And so I'm
Mhm.
like, why is this like this? Why are we doing this? Why is this happening? And as I started to learn that the more that I was allowed to flourish in my feminine, it meant healing and getting in touch with my emotions, because your emotions are your feminine. Men don't practice through their emotions, women do, even though we both have masculine and feminine energy.
Mhm.
Now, women who have mothers who have been through trauma, that have passed it down to us, create a mother wound inside of us. And this
Mhm.
mother wound is actually the thing that impedes the growth of a woman in her success, where she feels like, if I'm too much, if I'm so successful, if I make more money, I'm going to be ousted from the tribe, or I'm going to outperform my mother. I'm not going to be part of the group anymore. And so a lot of women play small in their successes and the things that they do, rooted from this mother wound. Because many times, our moms, and no blame, right? We're not going to sit here and go, mom, you did this to me, although we've all been there, we've done that. We don't want to, like, the criticisms from our mothers making us their therapists, all of the things, that the enmeshment that's happened over the years. It was just the lack of knowledge and the lack of skills and whatnot. Because growing up, no one ever said to me, and I'm in my age group, or even to my parents and further on, how you feeling?
Yeah.
What emotion are you experiencing right now? And so a lot of
Right.
women don't even know how to identify with their emotions. I always tell them, go to the emotional wheel, start practicing I feel instead of I think. Get into your body, start connecting to yourself to identify, because we're so used to be like, I can manage all my emotions. And I was doing that for years. I was the ice queen until that moment on that yoga mat where it was like the dam just melted and it was like I couldn't unsee anymore what was happening. I was so unfulfilled in my life, even though I had all these things happening. So then I looked at money and what were your money beliefs? Like I can ask you right now to write down all of your beliefs around money. And you know what's crazy is that people will have the money's bad. Rich people are bad. I can waste my money. I feel guilty buying something I love. And so when I created the brand, and of the Quantum Woman and Unapologetically Rich, it's like you don't have to justify your purchases or what you want to do with money. Whatever meaning you're assigning to in this moment becomes law. So if you think that if you spend your money on something you desire and it's bad, it's bad. But someone told you it was. What if you decided today it wasn't? You get to buy your Louis Vuittons. You get to buy your cars. You get to do the things you want. Oh, no, 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 but you're going to be wasting your money. You're bad with your money. This is a stupid thing to do. A lot of the times people purchase things because of the emotional stuff that's missing inside of them, okay? And for me, have you heard of be do have?
Yes.
Okay. I was have do, and then I would be successful. I had it backwards. And you are the blueprint for your life and business. So your wealth, your health, your mindset, whatever's happening, your lens that you wake up every morning and you put on, those lens that you see the world through, your money lens, your past experiences, your unhealed trauma, the things that you feel resentful, your insecurities, whatever it is, all that resistance, you literally wake up refreshed, you put on those glasses right away. And that's how people see money. And it's not in the highest level of consciousness because they're literally allowing themselves to have guilt over it, shame over it. And what I say to do is if you're buying something from desire, because most masculine women only come from goals. If I have this, I have the house, the beach house, the thing, the la 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 la, all these things. Okay, look at me. I'm successful. And by the way, most men don't care about our successes, the masculine men, the true masculine men, they want you to be successful, but they're not impressed by our like letters behind our name and the things that we've done. They want a woman who needs them. And so when women are very hyper independent and they're not available for anyone to help them, they're not in receiving. So they block their wealth from coming in. They block everything. So I learned this very clearly. They don't celebrate themselves because they should have been already there already. They look at money as like, well, I can do whatever I want with it. Like, and if you think of money as being masculine and you're telling that to the man, well, you're actually just pushing it away more. I have so much to say about this, but I mean, for a woman to really start going into her next level, she can't be afraid of her power. And when
Mhm.
women are in scarcity, believe it or not, wealthy women are in scarcity. And a lot of women who have unhealed trauma are in scarcity because scarcity is the victim mindset. And they don't even realize that they're actually doing it, but it's running their subconscious. That
Mhm.
in itself is actually controlling how much power they can unleash inside of themselves. A woman who
Mhm.
is fully empowered is a woman in abundance that has literally no money, has no power over her. And she's in the highest level of wealth consciousness. That's what I believe.
So I'm feeling like there's probably a multitude of listeners, types of listeners right now, but I feel like specifically two, one is like she just described me and they know damn well that what you just said is, what they've gone through and who they are. And then there's the other woman that's like, is that me? Is that are this is the first time they're hearing anything like this. And so they're questioning, are the way that I react, the way that I think, the way that I treat myself, the way that I treat others, is is this me? How would you help these women kind of learn their way? Like, they,
Identify? Yeah.
yeah,
So do you ever just go buy something without looking at the price tag? Let's say if we're talking about money, or do you always let money make the decisions? Well, let me just check and see how much money I have. Let me see how much it cost. Let me see what this is. Because that's to me is when money has power over you. You're not just leading from desire. Because desire is you tapping into the feminine, which is your soul self. It's like, I don't know why I want it, but I just do.
yeah.
Well, then go for it. I mean, there's when people are doing the have be do, right? Like I mean, it's what I was saying before, or like do have be, they're getting the successes to look how amazing I am, right? So there's a
Yeah.
difference in that. But if you're coming from a heart-centered place, and the only way you can do that is to tapping into yourself. Now, if you have a hard time when someone says, "Let me hold the door open for you," or "Let me buy that for you," and you're like, "No, no, 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 I don't want to. You don't do anything for me." One, they don't want to owe anybody anything because it'll look weak for the help, and two, they have a problem with vulnerability and intimacy. So those things actually block them from being really able to receive more wealth in their life. So if you catch yourself doing that, maybe you can start saying, you know what, it's okay for someone to let the door open for you, hold the door open for you. Maybe it's okay to start allowing people in. And if you're a type of woman who likes to do everything yourself and then you have resentment afterwards because you've done everything and then you're like, why didn't anybody help me? Well, did you
Mhm.
ask for help? So maybe
Yeah.
now you can start asking for help and letting people come into your world. And the way that I look at it is if you have any language like this, and this is really an identifier that people don't even realize that they're doing it. And I've had women who are making millions of dollars, and I literally have to play it back to them and say, listen to what you're saying. If you
Mhm.
are ever blaming someone else for why you don't have what you want, well, if this didn't happen to me, if she didn't do that, if this, if there's any blame, there's still a victim story running wild inside of you, and it will create a money leak. And even though you'll be able to make money, there'll be an
Mhm.
avenue where it'll just go right on out. And one of those core wounds will just be like a sled. Let's go. And so I would identify the language. And are you speaking nice to yourself? Are you constantly criticizing yourself and others and judging yourself? Because those things create a disconnection with money. Like men, it's always it's always okay for them to make money. Oh, look, he's in real estate. He's in this. He's so smart. But men struggle with this too. They'll have massive losses and have to start all over again because they have not worked on their internal stories either. And they're looking to feel successful with the things that they've acquired, but they're still missing that feeling of like, I'm good enough. I'm worthy enough. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
start identifying with your behaviors. And if a bill comes in the mail and you get anxious about it, why don't you start opening that bill and paying it right away? I have the thing that I say in the morning, you wake up, you look at your bank account, and you look at your Stripe account or any account that you've got money coming in. You should never run away from your finances. You should always be aware of them and look at them because what we watch grows. Even when I had no money after my divorce, I'd like zero my bank account at sometimes. I would look at it, I kind of laugh a little bit because I'm like, this is not my final destination. And I normalized it instead of having fear over it. So many women have fear over money. You'll see
Mhm.
old school dudes wearing like holding wads of money in their front pocket. Like, your dads or older men who are, in their 50s or 40s, late 40s, they don't
Mhm.
fear because you ask someone to carry money, they're like, well, what
Yeah.
if I lose it? You're a
Yeah.
grown woman. Why would you lose it? But they have
Yeah.
this fear that it'll go away. Start carrying cash in your wallet, in your purse, and
Mhm.
start normalizing that it's okay to carry that. But you'll start seeing where you're like going, like the anxiousness when you use your card. Like I used to pay and pray because at some point I didn't know if it was going to go through and I'd be leaving Ross. I'm like, oh yeah, it went through
Oh,
now. Like, yeah. Because I mean, I had everything and then I had to start all over again.
yeah.
It was a very humbling situation.
Yeah.
And I had to believe that there was more money even when I couldn't see it. People think when the
Mhm.
money comes in, it makes them feel rich. You have to get into the state of wealth prior to the state of abundance without it. And that is removing any scarcity mindset, healing through anything that could make you feel like you could be a victim. And that's really it because with or without money, you are the activator, the lighthouse, the attractor of the more wealth.
I love that. And is my husband, and we're high school sweethearts.
Oh,
We've been together 35 years, but married 30,
oh.
and get along most of the time. Um,
Marriage
but
is work.
yes, so much work, and we were raised so completely different, so completely different. He, had his first job at age 8 and has worked his whole life really hard since then. I was a little bit on the spoiled side, as a kid. And so now today, we've grown together, we've built wealth together, but the way we want to spend money is so different. And I want your expertise on this because it's always a fun topic of conversation with us because it didn't come so hard for me. I'm very free with it more so, like even last night we went out to dinner and there were some stray dogs. I'm a sucker for animals in need. and he had bought me some dog food to put in the truck. And so I went to grab and another one came up. So I went to grab another thing of dog food. He's like, no, 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 no. And I'm like, seriously, you're gonna ration the dog food? Because that mentality of money, where I just give, 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 give. So in your expertise, do you see that your upbringing, even if I don't want to say it wasn't traumatic, but I mean, because for me it certainly wasn't, but the way that I look at money, um, and the way that he does, it's so stinking
Did,
different.
did you have a good relationship with your father?
My father passed away when I was 5,
But
so
when before, did you have good memories of him?
I don't remember him. I have a
Okay.
mental block apparently.
Who
So,
who
but
came just
my
real quick,
husband,
who came in to be that masculine figure in your life?
my stepdad when I was 14.
And how was that relationship?
Great. He was.
Yeah.
He's
So
still loving.
he's pretty loving, right? Okay. So while you did have an unfortunate, you know,
Yeah.
moment in your life, there obviously was, see, I always can tell when a woman is free with money. I'll look and I'll be like, okay, what's your relationship with the masculine in your life? Because if you felt safe, it
So true.
changed everything. But if
Ah,
you didn't have that, so I just want to listen to your reader, to your listeners to see this. But it's an identifier because you
I
don't live in the lack and the scarcity of it anymore. You're like, that's why if you give one more scoop of dog food, it's not going to change anything. Nothing. But when people live in the limits, again, goosebumps right now. But it's when people live in the limits and they're so worried of it running out, they actually create that frequency that it will run out. But because you're in the abundance of it, there's more. And being a giver, my daughter is the same way. She's so free with money. My son is like trading stocks at 19, and he'll like take stuff, like he's like, I gave him $7,000 to put into his like Roth, and he's like, he's telling his roommate, my mom gave me 7 bands, and he wouldn't have invested it right away, like, but he worked.
right.
He's so funny, but he's got that mindset right now where my
Yeah.
daughter's like, money's just money, mom. Like,
Yeah.
I've taught her that. She's like, it's not something that controls me, and she will go get a summer job, but it's very different. You have a beautiful viewpoint of it because you don't have a fear of it leaving. And so whatever that abandonment wound that you did have, it was your new masculine came in and said, hey, I've replaced that energy. I'm here. I'm going to here and take care of you and your family. And then
Mhm.
you just got reaffirmed that it's okay and you feel safe. So your nervous system is regulated to, it's going to be okay. People who are always in the lack and the scarcity, they're like nervous. And so the nervous system goes into like fight or flight and it's like, it's going to go, I'm going to
Mhm.
lose it all. It's all going to be gone. But they're printing money every day. And if you look at money, your name is not on it.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
own it.
Yeah.
People think that they own it, but when you can circulate it and believe more is coming, I have this saying in my business called more is coming. And it literally took me out of the lack mindset when I started to believe more was coming. I didn't have to
Mhm.
worry. And more is coming, which is very
Yeah.
good.
You and this was a huge aha moment for me. Thank you, because like it's always it's been about, they always say you fight about sex and money, and we don't fight very often, but it's about sex and money. And his dad was, alcoholic, abusive, and so he never had the, like, exactly what you're saying. So when I look at the relationship with my stepdad and the relationship with his dad and his stepdad, which was just as bad, he's never felt safe ever, ever. And so that's huge for me. And I hope it is for the
Huge.
audience as
Yeah,
well.
huge. And when it comes to sex, like just not that I'm a sex therapist, but I just see it all weaved in our behavior.
Sure.
And um men just want to please and give pleasure. And they also just want to feel like they're needed. And
Yeah.
this is a little tip that I'll tell you all women out there listening and men who's listening will be like, yes, stop criticizing your man. Like literally, don't stop telling him what to do. He is a grown man. I've raised my son this way, and I really feel like I allowed him to be safe. And men, their biggest thing is they just want to feel safe to put their emotions somewhere. But if they've never been taught to process their emotions, their chances of opening up and feeling safe to share it without feeling criticized about it or feeling weak around it, because they've never been taught that it's safe to feel their emotions. My son came up to me, I think it was like 6 or 7 months ago, and he's been with his girlfriend for 2 years, and he said, Mom, he's like, thank you for allowing me to feel my emotions and knowing that it was okay to feel emotions and be masculine. Like it was just so cool. He's a rugby player, football player, and yet
Oh,
he's the most loving kid in the whole world. And I do believe he's going to marry his high school sweetheart. So is my daughter. It's like I stopped generational trauma with my kids right now. It's amazing. And
well,
they're
good for you.
wealthy mindsets. I'm like, okay, I did them now. My turn to
Yeah,
get my man coming in. But
sure.
but yeah, this is really, really, really amazing. So when it comes to sex, it's like men want to feel needed, and needed means desired.
Yep.
And so if you are constantly telling your man what to do with a honey-do list and you are in your masculine, there won't be the polarity for their, and then he'll go into his beta energy, which will be like, why aren't we doing it now? Like I'm angry and upset and just like acting like a big baby. It's because he wants you to go into that primal energy, like to be like, all right, like let's go, babe. And but the more
Yeah.
that you go into your feminine, he will go into his masculine. You'll see a switch. He'll do anything. He'll buy anything for you. He'll do anything for you. Needed,
So
not
true.
don't judge him and don't tell him what to do. If you
Mhm.
have things that you need him to do, this is so off topic, but hopefully it's all people, but
I
it's
love
going
it.
to help you as a woman going into your feminine. I'm telling you, it's going to heal
Yeah.
so much stuff in your life.
Yeah.
Just say to him, listen, I've got these three things to do. Do you think you can do you think you can, would you mind being able to do this for me? Or you're able to do it for me? Ask him, don't tell him. And then he'll say, yeah, I can do that. I'm like, okay, do you think you can get it done by today, Tuesday? What's the day you can get it done by? It can even be taking out the garbage, okay? I could
Mhm.
do it later today. Okay, I'm going to hold you to it. Like, and thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you. And all you have to do is give him a compliment. Tell him when he's doing something great instead of always describing when he's doing something wrong. Because you know what? They'll just give up. And then
Yeah.
they don't feel like men. So
Mhm.
even when they do put things together and they do it wrong, because they will always do, you have to be like, all right, well, he's going to figure it out. When he gets lost driving, he's going to figure it out. Unless he comes to you and asks you for help, leave him alone.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then you're gonna have better sex. I have so
Yeah.
many women that start having quantum babies in my world. That's what we call them because
The
I'm like,
baby.
we're having sex like teenagers now. I don't know what you did to me, but like, I'm like, no, I took you out of your masculine and now they're having their highest cash months. They're having more sex. It's like, this is the little formula, ladies.
Yeah,
And
that
my
is
husbands are
huge.
like, renew with Shamina, renew with the sugar. But
I
anyway,
know.
they're solvable issues, is what I'm saying. Like in
Yeah.
my marriage, I couldn't do that because I had
Mhm.
to work on me first. I had to heal my trauma for me to be, and he did too, for us
Yeah.
to, but we're no longer together, reason, season, lifetime.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. And yes, Mick would say amen to all the things that you just said. It's definitely something that as a woman you work on, but you will totally notice a difference. I get to the when there's some stress in the air, I get naggy and I notice how much he changes because of that. And I'm like, if I quit the unnecessary nagging, I notice a completely different man. So
Well,
I love
they're fixers. That's what the masculine does. And if
it.
he sees you in distress and he can't help you, he goes into frustration. So, all you can do if you're having a moment like that, be like, "Hey, can you give me some water, please?" And he'll go get it because at
Yeah.
least he's doing something.
Aw,
But and
yeah.
just ask him to help you. Do you mind giving me a blanket? And if you're like wanting to be sad or you have something that he can't control, give him
Yeah.
something to help you with. So at least he feels like he's helping you.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. So I listen, if for those of you that are listening, her voice should sound very familiar. She's 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 everywhere. I'm so impressed. I got this great like I got to see all of your TV appearances and all the places you've been, and I got to listen to many of them. One of them you mentioned, which I think is great for my audience, especially the girls that I mentor. You were on, I think it was a TV show, might have been radio, but I think it's TV show. And you were sharing with the lady about how the way you put it was so good. You were talking, you told her makeup, but you're saying about something that you really enjoy doing or something that comes so easily to you that you wouldn't even think twice about, making a course or putting together a couple of videos or, a book of some sort, explaining how you do this thing so well, so easily, and how surprised you would be that what you do so well and so easily other people don't do well, don't do easily, and they would actually pay for your tips or your information on this. Can you go into a little bit of detail about that to
Sure.
spark that interest in these women's minds that obviously every woman has their talents, and they just
No.
sometimes they just don't see it.
No, I agree. This is one of the things that I really help women do. Like, we're so good at so many things, but I also believe in having like multiple revenue streams. I have 7 or 8 of them,
Mm,
and I I always like to make money in my sleep, but also if you
Mhm.
are looking to scale your income and increase how much you're making, you have to decrease how much you're working. Because when you're still in that hustle mode, and I love what you said earlier, like I don't feel like it has to be hard. And I also want to correct you a little bit. You're
Uh,
not spoiled. You were just born into a different scenario. And don't feel bad about it because spoiled is kind of like a negative word. You were just in a different scenario. And we're raised in this culture to think that working hard is the success. Like I worked hard for it and suffering. So we want to remove that and put it into a new mindset of money gets to come to us much easily, and we actually get to get paid for like our unique skill set. Like I am always out there looking for experts. And as we're chatting before we got on here, I said that, my hormones have been one of the things that have been the biggest frustration for me lately. I can't tell you how much money I've spent on, if someone told me they could give me the cure in front of me right now and it was $10,000, I pay it. It's like
mhm.
that's where I'm at right now. And it might be something so simple. People are willing to pay for solutions. And the things that you do so easily in your life, for example, my organizer for my house is something I always suggest everybody to do to clear up new energy, to bring new energy, money into the house. I always have organizers come in a couple times a year. They were doing it and they were undercharging. I'm like, you need to charge more. Is what I told them. I'm like, you literally saved me so much time. I would have
Yeah.
paid this for it. And they're like, really? I'm like, no, this would have taken me a month to do what you did in 6 hours. So when people start valuing, this goes back to your self-worth, which is your emotional state in your wounds, core wounds. Your self-worth determines your net worth. So when you start realizing in the value of what you can provide, you're going to increase your how much you're charging. Like I know every single person that comes to work with me, they're undercharging and they're doing way too much. So go look in your life, take inventory. When people said, "How do you do this?" Or it could be home organization. It could be like how to whatever it is, I can't even think of it. Right? Maybe you know how to book flights, something, easier than someone else. Maybe you're really good at that. I'm always looking at I turn everything into a business. Everything could be a business, whatever you're doing right now. I see someone who's a makeup artist working for Mac. Well, why don't you go do your own business right now? There's so many different things and then you do that, and then you scale, and you have 10 more girls come under you. It's like that's how I look at building an empire. And a lot of people
Mhm.
don't have that mindset because they sit and live in the limits. Well, it's going to be so hard.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
that's the conditioning and that's the mental thought. When your back is up against the wall, which mine was, because the moment that my business blew up, but right before that, I felt like I was going to lose my house. It was 2020. Things were hitting. I was no longer practicing law. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to save this house because I have no family here. When you have no plan B, you will figure things out. You will be all in on your success. But a lot
Yeah.
of the times people have their foot on the land in the boat and saying, I'm all in, and you're not. So
Mhm.
really get honest with yourself. Do a brain dump. Write down all the things that you're amazing at. And then go do a little research on TikTok or on Instagram or wherever else and see, are people paying for this? Because I will bet you that they are. And then you can formulate an offer that you could just create, record, have it even as a PDF, sell it for a low ticket, and people will buy it. I mean,
Yeah.
I do that. I mean, I woke up this morning, I already had made $1,000 before I'd woke up because people went through my funnels. And
Love
so
it.
it's really easy to do, but you have to set the groundwork for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And not, most people listen to podcasts, but just for the audience that's listening, she's stunning. And we talked about age because we're similar in age, and I about fell off my chair. But you, you're so polished, you're so put together, you're so well spoken. I just want to, because I'm not. From the opposite end of the spectrum, what you just said though, I learned many, many moons ago, and I created a little free ebook, gosh, I don't know, 15 years ago, that was my
Wow.
area of expertise. And then I created a little small $10 ebook, and just kind of built my business from there. But even you tell me if you disagree with this, but even if you're nervous and about the charge, it doesn't hurt to put something out just to see that it just don't put much
Abs-
energy into it. But you could start there to see, you can collect emails that way. You can, grow your audience that way. Just by kind of testing the waters of, I love to do this. And, I've done my research. It looks like people, pay for this, but I'm just not sure. So you can always just, be like, okay,
Absolutely.
okay.
I think that people see that, oh, there's someone else already doing it. Okay, so there's like 40 white loaves of bread, white loaves of bread, because people are like, eat wheat too. I mean, there's like so many loaves of bread, and
Sure.
they're still every day putting their different brands up there. And
Yeah.
this is the easiest thing. Like YouTube is so underutilized. You could literally go start a channel, figure out how to create your videos. I mean, do a podcast. There's things that I had no money when I started, but I realized that was not going to be the reason why I wasn't successful. As my
Hmm.
business made money, I reinvested it back in the business. A lot of people need loans to start. What I did was I made the money, reinvested it back, paid off my debt, reinvested it back, and then I just kept doing that and then growing the business at massive rates. I hired mentors. I'm like, show me how to do this faster. Show me what
Yeah.
I need to do. Because even though I was a lawyer and I'd made money before and I could go back to that, this thing was calling to me and said, hey, you're here for something different. I had no idea what this path was, but I knew I had to listen to it. Something greater force than me was coming. And for people who know that they have that in them, that they were
Yeah.
meant for some bigger impact, follow it, listen to it, because I'm so grateful. I just spoke to a huge audience. I went to Orlando and I spoke to like 500 plus business owners. I got to do a keynote speech. And as I was getting on there, it was a beautiful moment because I was remembering, I'm gonna get a little emotional probably, but
Good.
January 2013, I was like, I knew
Yeah.
my life was falling apart and I knew that there was something else for me and I just didn't know what it was.
Hmm.
And fast forward to now, I'm like, wow, good thing I listened. Even though I couldn't see the path, I knew something was calling to me and I trusted it. And my
Yeah.
faith muscle just got, and I'm a lawyer, like I needed evidence. I had to
Yeah.
park that and I had to be like, all right, I saw a butterfly, it said to go here. I saw this
Yeah.
sign that said to do this. I had to
Yeah.
believe in the unknown at this point and follow this faith that was so, I don't know,
Hmm.
so loud. I couldn't not listen to it anymore. That pivotal moment where it woke me up. I mean, I couldn't unsee that. I had to follow it. And so many people are playing small and they're allowing themselves to play under the radar. And you're so much more powerful than you understand. And people need your
Hmm.
gifts. Like those people in the room came up and hugged me and they were like, we're so grateful for you. But if I played small and I didn't follow that path, I wouldn't be changing thousands of lives, hopefully millions of lives. So you have something in you that could literally help someone else. I'm gonna give you an example really quick here. My team member, we were traveling. She gave me a Valentine's Day gift. I take her everywhere, and there's these little like scrunchies that you can put around your wrist. Whenever I wash my face, I feel like I'm splashing the whole sink afterwards. Well,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, they invented this. I had no idea. I went and bought a bunch after that, but it was the greatest thing. There's no water all over the sink anymore. Like you just don't know. Like, I mean, somebody took a chance and invented this. Like, and it solved my issue. You have
Right.
something that's going to solve someone's issue. Then take that money and expand your money mindset. Charge more, charge more, charge more, and then
Hmm.
invest it, and then grow, and then take the money from that and buy an asset that produces income. I mean, you can be so rich. Like, just decide it.
Yeah.
Decide. Decide. You know,
Just, yeah.
you just gotta
I,
say,
I I feel like there's always the, I guess, the fear of failure, which shows up as well. Not that it's going to, you have that this looks and sounds like it's going to be so much work. That's one, limiting belief, but also the thought of failure. But I think when you mentioned being on stage in front of those 500 women, for women who truly have a passion, just, we're so heart centered that the wealth comes, but I don't know a single woman that isn't, because of what they did, their life isn't completely fulfilled because they changed, other people's lives. It could be children, it could be families, it could be women, but that is always the icing on the cake. And then because you have that beautiful heart for serving other people, the wealth follows as well. Do you find, besides the fear of failure, if women just follow that passion, they will be much more successful as opposed to following the money? um or does it not really matter? I mean, if you're super money hungry and you're just like, you know what, I want to travel the world, so I'm going after the dollar, or going after your purpose and then the dollar follows, does it really matter?
so I have so much to say about this. So I feel like, yes, when you're fully serving, the money will come. And I also feel like when you work on your money mindset, but you also work on why you need that to live to that life, and you get truly emotionally mastered, that you are at a place that when that experience happens, it satiates you and you feel fulfilled from it. A lot of people can go and make the money and take that trip and still feel like, wow, that was, what was that? Or I bought the Lamborghini, like this, because it never fulfills that missing hole where the emotions. That's why we go back to the beginning of this call,
True.
where it was
Yeah.
like the emotions need to be there. Now, I have realized that chasing money or going after making more money never really connects. But when you do something from, it's not the highest frequency and vibration. You really have to work really hard to get that money. Like it'll be something where you're battling. failure to me is something where I don't even think it exists. I think it's just data collection is what I call it. And I have this saying in my business how I got over my perfectionism and worrying about whether it's going to work. Messy makes me millions. So I just
Ooh,
decided that if I just take messy action,
give me
I'll see
goosebumps.
I see what works, I see what
Yeah.
doesn't work. It's still going to work out. I have this other saying called it's happening. It's always going to be working out for me. So as long as I keep moving in that direction, I'm collecting data, this
Mhm.
might not have worked the best, but I'll
Yeah.
learn this information so that I can do this. And a lot of women, when they're in that masculine, they have to figure it out because they're afraid they're going to look like a fool. It's not going to work out. What if I waste all this money? Yada, 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 all this stuff. And it's like, well, you didn't actually do anything. So
Yeah.
how do you know if it's going to work? You just decided it wasn't. But
Yeah.
this goes back to the emotional wound of disappointment. They don't want to feel like they're disappointed. Like women who have had their hearts broken, they opened up, they finally let their guard down. They let that armor down. They got hurt. They go again and like, I don't ever want that to happen again. So they subconsciously create this shield again where they're like, I'm not even gonna attract a person because I'm not even open to receiving a man. But they do that with money, they do that with success. So it's like if you could master your emotions, like this is what my daughter has done, which I think is like a superpower. Even when a boy and her dated, and 2 days she'll like go over it. She's like, I'm done. It didn't work out. She cried a little bit. It's over. And she's been with her boyfriend now for over a year now because she was, oh, I felt her superpower was better than mine, even bigger and greater, because she was able to open her heart and feel into loving people all the way. And then you know what? It's okay. I'll do it all over again. Like to
Yeah.
me, that's somebody who's super wealthy in life because she's
Mhm.
going to win the lottery with relationships and with herself and with other people because she's not afraid to feel.
Yeah.
And it's remarkable. If you ever get to listen to an episode of my daughter and I on a stage, go listen to my podcast because m-
Love that.
having that emotional mastery at such a young age, I feel like that's wealth. And I
Yeah.
feel like looking at my children and seeing how emotionally intelligent they are, that makes me feel rich. That makes me feel wealthy because they don't have to suffer and go through life that way. And they are not afraid to go and be their greatest selves, even if failure comes with it. Like my daughter just won, she's state champion for cheer. She was willing to go all the way. She's like, Mom, we're going to win. We're going to win. And she decided to go all for it. Even she did say, there, go, what if we don't? She's like, I'm not even going to give that energy. What if we don't? What if it doesn't work out? I only can go all in. What if it works? What if it does work? I'm like, yeah, go and do that. And
Mhm.
and that mentality is what we need to have more of instead of the fear of what if it doesn't, because okay, so it didn't work like the way you wanted it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's not going to work, right?
Right.
So that's how I channel and I move through that type because I'm not prepared and willing to accept that something's not going to work. It's just it's working. It's just taking a little longer. It's
Yeah.
working. It's just not maybe as fast or whatever. And when it comes back to like the money and fulfillment, you know, I've been told I have a really big heart. Like I'm sharing a lot of information with you now. Like people pay $25,000 to come see me talk sometimes. But I go on these podcasts and I'm so grateful that you opened up your platform because at the end of the day, I just want women to not feel like they have to be in suffering, play below the bar. I want more women to feel like they can be unapologetically themselves and wealthy and rich and
Mhm.
have it all. And I don't want you to be the reason why you don't have those things. So just get out of your own way and don't live that pattern anymore because I did it. And I know thousands of women that I mentor do it too. There's another way. And you get to have the Louis, you get to fly private, you get to have the diamonds, you get to have the Rolexes, but just make sure that they're not filling a hole. They're just when you have them, they're making you feel something. Like when I bought my G-Wagon, I had never driven one before, but I knew I wanted one. I had it on my phone. I always say put the things you want on your phone as a reminder to program your subconscious. So
Yeah.
I was driving this rental car because my old car went kaput at the engine. I didn't change the oil. I recommend you don't do that. And
Someone would cry right now.
I was going through some things at the time, and changing my oil was that's why I need a man to do those things. Men do those things,
Yeah.
and those are
Should.
men things to do. But I was driving this rental. It's a hybrid, and I remember going, oh, like this feels like how it's going to feel when I'm driving the G-Wagon. I got into the state of, and it was like I could get into that state because no longer was feeding an emptiness inside of me. Well, not too long after that, I was able to, my mom came into town. She's like, let's go to Mercedes. I put down a deposit. They only had 8 coming into the country at the time.
Oh, wow.
One of them ended up being mine. I paid cash for it. And it was like the greatest feeling in the whole world. A woman, me, being able to purchase, an almost $300,000 vehicle. And it didn't take me off the course. But
Right.
but every time I drive it, I feel wealthy. It's like
Yeah.
what can you turn on inside of you to feel the wealth? But first you have to get rid of the things that create the money leaks, which is the core wounds.
Yeah. So true. All right. I have a two, to end this, I have a two-part question. That really not necessarily related. And I'm sorry, it's like I'm asking you to speak from two different sides. But the first one is, because as a nutritionist, we've got the power of AI now. And so, and I think of, personal trainers, just all the travel agents. It's just AI is able to do a lot of things. So my first question is the power of AI today, and women, and generating wealth, and making their niche in this world. And then the second one is, can you share an actionable item, just like to close this off, be like, ladies, this is, if I can give you one bit of advice or one piece of go get this done, what would it be?
Okay, so with AI, I was actually resistant to it because I felt like it was going to replace humans. And I feel like the thing that I teach is human connection, and you cannot replace human connection. I realize that you cannot replace human connection, and AI will never be able to do that. So then I embraced it. And, the thing about AI is that I think it can fine tune your messaging. It can fine tune your offers. It could fine tune so many different. I have a guy that I'm in one of his groups, and he went to AI to ask him about his health issues. And he used it as a doctor, and then he went and took that to his doctor and said, "Hey," and the doctor was like, "Wow, I didn't even think of half of these things right here. Like, holy crap!" So you
Wow.
can use it as
Yeah,
um,
sure.
another like
To,
a jury to co- or so another place where you can go like, "Hey, can you give me a judgment on this, or what do you think about this?"
sure.
Or
I like that.
anyway, I feel like we will be left behind if we don't. I feel like you need to embrace it, and I was resistant to it, but any question that you need answered, and also take it with a grain of salt because some things in there are not 100% foolproof yet. Um, I love it for so many reasons, and my team uses it not for we use it not for like creating content. We use it more for creating or going bigger with our ideas, Or
Cool.
what didn't you think about that you could do and then go implement it? It was like it raises you to think in a higher way than just where you're limited,
I agree.
for example. And as far as your second question was,
Actionable step or actionable
yeah,
item that these ladies that are
So,
listening.
so money is never about money. Remember that. It's never about money. It's like if I show you money and it's never about this piece of paper. It's whatever meaning you've assigned to it. So when I realized that I needed to get into a complete state of abundance. What can you do on a daily basis to expand your belief systems around money? You know, you get to decide how you want to feel, think, or use money. Like people can make money, but they're keeping it, how they use it, how it shows up in their life, the scarcity around the extra scoop of dog food, whatever it is, do want to live with the anxiousness and the worry of it not being there. I feel like that creates dis-ease in the body, which then can manifest into all kinds of ailments. And so if you allow yourself to not have stress about the money, you could take that stress out. Imagine how your cells in your body would be, moving in a different way. It wouldn't have the heaviness of the shame or the bankruptcy, the things that have happened in your past that you're holding on to, so much guilt. That's literally the lens that you're seeing the world through right now. I always say don't lend money to anybody because when you start lending them, you have this I owe energy. They owe me something. And then you get resentment. Resentment is a money leak. I would say if you want to give, you give. I would say that I would take go into your life. And I do this all the time. I do it with my team in our business. Go look through all of the things that you have auto charges on and things
Mhm.
that you're automatically paying, and then do an audit of that all the time. I would also say that if you're making like 40 50 thousand dollars a month, take 5% of it and go buy something for yourself so you can start getting into the feeling of this is a celebration of this money. A lot of people don't celebrate their wealth. They have a hard time. And when women come to work with me and they start having $100,000 a month, 400,000, I'm like, can I go talk about it? They're like, what will people say? And I'm like, okay, let's work on the shame here. Why is
Mhm.
it not okay? Elon Musk and everybody can talk about being rich, but we can't. I go,
Mhm.
why is there a disparity there? Because we're worried about judgment. I would want you to go find out where that judgment lies because that judgment is holding some of your money tied up. Because if you can't be unapologetic with it, and this is, again, I go against everything Dave Ramsey says or other people out there because they want you to limit, save, don't get the coffee, don't get the tea. And I'm like,
Yeah,
no, make more money, get the tea and everything else. Like
live
have
in,
more coming to you. They're printing money right now. Get out of the scarcity that is going away. It's
yeah,
not going anywhere. So
yeah,
allow yourself to be in the more and the overflow and remind yourself that more is coming.
yeah. That was so much more than one. Thank you.
Oh, you did
Fantastic.
say one. Yeah, right. Sorry.
No, no, thank you.
You see, I love talking
Yes,
about this stuff.
yes,
I literally,
yes,
that's why my team's like, get her on these podcasts all the time. Like, or people are asking for me to be on their I'm like, I could talk about this all day long.
yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I could definitely sit and talk with you. Um, have that expensive cup of coffee. I'm going to put
Wait,
obviously,
hold on. I just want to say something.
yes,
Nothing's expensive.
nothing's expensive,
You've just decided it was expensive. I actually removed that word from my vocabulary because it's just what do you desire to purchase. So
right?
if something's expensive, it's a bad purchase. It's a bad this. Stop assigning the meaning to that stuff. Your words matter and what
Yeah,
you say.
right.
So be conscious of that.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
delicious cup of coffee.
Yes. A
But
premium cup of
a
coffee
premium cup, yeah.
because a luxurious.
Yes, yes, a well-deserved cup of coffee.
No, because you just get to have it. You don't have to do anything
Yeah,
to deserve
okay.
anything. Yeah. So
I need
you
work.
get you just get to have money and get to have whatever you want just because you don't. That's it.
Yeah.
End of story. Okay,
That's
sorry.
no, but that's really so powerful. Just, and which is why having you as a coach would be excellent. Because even just having a conversation with you, there's it's your
Awareness. Awareness.
subconscious is so powerful. We don't realize how powerful it is. And the things, that you say obviously make a big impact on your decisions. But if somebody doesn't bring it to your attention, you don't even know that you're doing it. So that
Yeah, and
was,
your subconscious mind because your
yeah,
subconscious is run by your emotions. So
yeah,
if you don't have that in check, then that's what you're creating all the time and not
yeah,
even without even knowing it.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
100%. So I'll put all of your information in the show notes, but can you real fast also share with people where they can learn more from,
Sure.
book with
Yeah.
you?
You come find me on Shamina Taylor at Instagram. Just give me a follow over there. And you can come join my Quantum Woman group on Facebook. Go check out my YouTube at Shamina Taylor. You're going to binge it and love it. Listen to my podcast, Unapologetically Rich. You'll love it. All those women that I heard, they're like, I listen to you as I'm going to the gym. When I'm cooking, when I'm doing this, you're in my ear. I listen and do everything. So you'll love it. You'll feel like I'm just coaching you individually. I'm probably going to start charging for the podcast because I realize that people are making a ton of money listening to it. Go get my book, Unapologetically Rich. It's on Amazon. It's a bestseller. There's a journal already in it. So don't buy the journal that someone is trying to sell on there.
Ah,
And we have a download that we're going to give you. It's the Daily Money Moves. Go and get it from the show. It's going to teach you how to start implementing daily money moves every day to start increasing your wealth.
thank you so much. That was, I'd say I should have paid, but then there's probably,
No, you get to receive. Thank you for having me on.
you're welcome. It's been such a pleasure. And from a personal perspective, I just think it's something that, both me and my husband could obviously listen to and, kind of bridge that gap between our thoughts and our mindsets around, money. I mean, it's still 35 years later, just polar opposites. And to have someone that can be there to say, you need to give a little bit, you need to give a little bit,
Yeah.
change your mindset, change your mindset. So I'm sure the audience absolutely loved it, but personally, I loved this podcast as well. I learned an awful lot.
Well, I'm so happy to have been on. It lights me up. See, I serve and I
Yeah.
just serve and I serve and I do it from my heart and I just want everybody to feel this way.
Yeah. You've got very lucky children.
I would say that they know it. They know it. They know it. They do. They said because they look at their friends and we're off done. We're not, are we done now? Are we done?
Yep.
We're still
But we
going?
can cut it.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay, I didn't know if we were, but I was just gonna say my daughter, and she looks at her girlfriend. She's like, "You've got to break your toxic pattern with boys." And like, she's like, "I did. I don't do that anymore." Because her dad was an alcoholic, and he's a functioning one. He's a good guy, but it's like one of those things where she had to go through her own healing to realize her own self-worth and raise her standards. I always say when you raise your standards, you raise your bank account. And
Oh,
so when you're whatever you settle for, whatever love and whatever it is that you settle for is what you'll get. But when you
yeah.
decide that you are worthy of more, you will get more. I didn't know that. I had to break my toxic pattern with men because of my father. And at least I got to my baby girl early. So now she's like, oh no, that's not okay. Even when
Yeah.
friendships, she'll tell you, I don't need a lot of friends. a handful of good friends that are going to treat me right, and I'll treat them right, you know.
Mm,
Yeah, my
mm.
kids are amazing. They're like literally, if people will meet me and they're like, "Oh, I see you talk, your kids are always in my feed." I'm like, "What is to life if it's not your family, right?"
Yes, 100%. Well, thank you again so much for being on the podcast. This will be a, a, a top one, I'm sure, and I really appreciate your time.
Great. All right. Take care.
You too. As always, everybody, I want you to wake up feeling prepared and I want you to go to bed feeling proud. Have a great day.